Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Wednesday Night Madness, live on YouTube and StreamYard.com. Is Google MF Michael Fletcher alongside the guys, Anthony Floyo, Michael Bullock, and gentlemen, we're just going to dive right on in. We're not going to waste any time. We start off with NXT and AEW Recaps. And it is NXT versus TNA. It was Dallas, Mark Coffey, Joe Coffey, and Wolfgang. They went and Wesley. When it was all said and done, the winner of the bout in 12 minutes and 23 seconds, the Rascals. They win it. Great opener, solid matchup, easily three stars, and probably better than anything we had on last week's NXT. This was exactly what they needed. You got the crossover right at the jump. We got the Zachary Wentz, Wesley, of course, you know them as MSK. And of course, if you've been following TNA, you know how great and amazing Trey Miguel is. So, I mean, to see all these guys together, unified as a group, was a breath of fresh air. And then on the other side, Gallus, the bruising team, the badass team, and they've been in a little funk lately. I don't know what's going on with them. That's been one of the biggest interruptions more than anything else. But during the match, Vic, I'm blaming you. I'm blaming you, Vic Joseph. What the heck? You had to say his name for him to appear? You literally had to bring out Joe Henry? Well, he showed up on the commentary table, and I think the biggest person who had the biggest problem with it was Booker T. Boy, my God, I've never seen Booker that angry in my life. It's like, look, Joe Henry is one of the greatest things in TNA. If you haven't been following TNA, you know Joe Henry's been amazing. But then again, I know Joe Henry from ICW. I've seen him from What Culture Championship Wrestling, WCCW. That's out in England, UK, Scotland, down in that end. And Joe Henry was, look, what he's doing in TNA, what he's doing in NXT is exactly the same thing he used to do in WCCW and in ICW. This is like, he has not changed one bit at all. And that's a good thing. They're letting him be that character. And if you never saw Joe Henry, if you were just seeing him on TNA and didn't know what he was all about, now you're starting to see what I see, what Anthony Florio see. This is what we see almost every time out. Like every week in TNA, when Anthony does his reviews, he probably sees Joe Henry. When I used to watch ICW, when he was formerly on YouTube, then they moved it to Peacock, part of the WWE Network. Now it's on its own thing. It's on Fight TV now. But Joe Henry was still the same guy. He never changed, which is really good. So all in all, dude, NXT and A was loaded right out of the gate with the Rascals, with Joe Henry. This was a TNA overload, and I have to admit, I want more of this crossover. I'm loving this. This is one of the few good things that NXT and TNA has been doing with this partnership, the jumping of talent, going from one show to the other. So far, just mainly, we've seen Charlie Dempsey and the No Quarter Catch crew show up in TNA. We've had Izzy Dane. We've had Tatum Paxley, women, but we've yet to see any women other than one of my personal favorites, Ask by Elegance. Oh, I need to see you again, baby girl. Please come back. I need you. But besides the point, great start, 3 stars. Florio, go.
In the immortal words of the late great Regis Philbin, how in the world am I going to follow that? My goodness. I'm going to do. In the immortal words of Ben Stein, I shall do my best. Fun tag team match that reached a higher level in the final minutes as the Rascals rolled together as a well-oiled machine. Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel have impressive chemistry as a team due to their recent work in TNA. But Wes Lee found his own rhythm as the most accomplished man of the three by NXT standards. Gallus played the foil role well, always in place for key spots without slowing the action too much for heat. It was one of the best showcases of what Joe Coffey, Wolfgang, and Mark can do. As Gallus headed to the ring, the group ran down everyone coming over from TNA, promising to make an example out of the Rascals. Despite Booker T telling him not to, Vic Joseph said Joe Hendry, and he appeared, joining commentary. After a major hot tag, Zachary Wentz went on a tear, sending Gallus reeling before tagging in Trey Miguel to help him. Finally, Wes Lee got the tag, and the three took the ring and never gave it back. Booker tried to sell that Gallus were the most established trio in this match, but both teams started in 2018, with the Rascals earlier in the same year. Hendry, awkwardly, likely due to timing issues, transitioned into a video package that he narrated on his appearance last week, and Gallus complained about Hendry, who appeared again to tell the group that they all needed to believe more. Yeah. And yes, MF, you're absolutely right. When you mentioned about the NXT TNA crossover. Last Thursday, TNA Impact, Charlie Dempsey defeated Zachary Wentz in a match with help from Miles Bourne of the North Dakota Catch Crew. Izzy Dame showed up to answer Jordan Grace's open challenge for the Knockouts Championship. And yes, MF, Joe Hendry. What can you say about the guy? I mean, last Thursday he was in a tag team main event on that same show. He teamed up with Josh Alexander to take on Moose and Steve Macklin, and what a fun tag team match that was. And tomorrow night on TNA Impact, Joe Hendry and the other 5 men in that World Heavyweight Championship elimination 6-pack match. How about this, guys? 6-pack elimination match contract signing. Yeah, that's not going to end well. You know it's not going to end well. Oh, man, I'm getting chills just thinking about that tomorrow night. Oh, my goodness, that's going to be something else. So, oh, my. But great jump off here. 3.5, teetering on 3 3/4 of a star. Excellent match. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, Rascals. You got to see them as the 3-man unit. You got to see Trey Miguel for the first time, and your new favorite wrestler, Joe Hendry, showing up on commentary. So I don't know what else there is to say here. 3.5 stars for me.
Yeah, 3.5 stars. I mean, what a jump off, and all I can say is this is my first time seeing this Rascals team, and especially Trey Miguel, and yeah, he's definitely very entertaining, to say the very least. I mean, Gallus put up a valiant effort, but you knew that they weren't going to have this team lose the first night together as a 3-man unit, and yes, to highlight Joe Hendry, my new favorite guy, joining Booker T and Vic Joseph on commentary, all because Vic Joseph said his name. And yeah, I saw that look on Booker's face, and he looked pissed. He was pissed at Vic Joseph just because he said the name. So yeah, 3 to 3.5 stars, and And because he made an appearance, you know I got to do it. Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Henry. I believe in Joe Henry. And I'll tell you this, I mean, Joe Henry is really working he's really been working a lot lately. Like you said, last week in that tag team match, and of course last week on TNA, being on commentary this week, and now being part of that 6-pack contract signing. Man, this guy's been really working a lot lately. So nothing more to say. It's yours, Fletch.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Then we had Roxanne Perez cutting a promo interrupted by Thea Hale. That was just kind of more to set up their matchup. They are going to face off for the NXT Women's title. That's going to be sometime down the line. Actually, I believe it's going to be at Great American Bash. So that's going to be at Great American Bash. Thea Hale.
2-week special. It's a 2-week special, so we got to find out which week it is.
Yeah, we don't know if that's going to be week number 1 or week number 2. However, NXT Women's title on the line. Thea Hale versus Roxanne Perez. That's going to be an interesting fight. That could be an interesting matchup, to say the very least. Then we had Brooks Jensen going one-on-one with Javon Evans. And it was Javon Evans winning the match in 9 minutes and 2 seconds. It was kind of a mistake because everything was fine. Then Sean Spears came out. Brooks Jensen kind of, it was actually, let me see. Hold on, my bad. I'm sorry. It was Josh Briggs that got in the face of Sean Spears, and Brooks like, yo, hey, no. Let it go. Forget it. Don't worry about him. I got this. And ultimately, that was the downfall because the Javon Evans basically took the moment, laid him out, got the 1, 2, 3 with that beautiful springboard cutter. I mean, picture perfect. Then after the match, Jensen didn't like that, jumped Javon Evans. That actually brought out, and that actually got Josh Briggs to pull him off, saying, what are you doing? I'm putting my neck on the line. But if you notice at the end, when these two were still bickering, heading back to the locker room, guess who was there at the corner watching the whole thing? Sean Spears, and he was thinking, Anthony Florio, I got a theory of my own. I just want to know what you say first.
Oh, yes. This Jensen evolution is an important opportunity for him to show what he can do. His in-ring work with Evans was a good sign. This was as good as he has looked in singles action to date. The storytelling has been inconsistent early, especially with Briggs suddenly a babyface again after teasing a heel run around WrestleMania season. Still, there is potential if NXT has a clear plan going forward. The tease of Jensen aligning himself with Spears is an intriguing possibility that might legitimize the chairman's push to build a following. The young OG picked up a win and hopefully is not too far from the title pictures in NXT after a brief detour. He has unfinished business with many top names and the talent to make the most of the opportunity. Jensen told Briggs that he did not need him, but Briggs said he was there to stop his friend from doing something stupid. Briggs will soon be away from NXT to work the N1 Victory Tournament in Noah alongside Tavion Heights in August. This leaves limited time to write him out of this story with Jensen. And next week, Jensen versus Briggs in a no disqualification match next week. Maybe they do the write-off there. That's very possible. And by the way, just to update you all, the Great American Bash 2-week special starting on July 30 and then going up to August 6th. And both of those shows will not be on the USA Network. They will both be aired on Sci-Fi because of the Olympic coverage.
Yes. Summer Olympics. As a matter of fact, the USA is going to be 24/7 coverage on USA Network for the entire 2 weeks. So I even believe Monday Night Raw is going to The only show I believe that doesn't get bumped off on this might be Monday Night Raw.
No,
But
Raw's going to be on Sci-Fi too.
Okay, then I stand corrected.
That's
No,
confirmed.
then USA. Then what it is USA is going to be 24/7 Olympic coverage, live and taped. NBC will have a lot of daytime live coverage, prime time recorded, or if you watch on Peacock, that's where you'll get to see all of the other events that is not televised. Because you're going to have a lot of specific events that will be on USA, a lot of specific events on NBC, and then basically Peacock is going to have everything else.
Loaded. That is wow.
Okay. It is loaded. It is loaded. Oh, by the way, just like and for you fine folks, me and Anthony Florio is indeed covering the men's basketball tournament. That will be starting, and we got a good one right out of the gate, Anthony. First, day number 1 on that Saturday, USA versus France. Ooh. To start it.
Oh yeah.
LeBron, Seth, Curry, KD, all the boys goes up against Barbosa, Phil Millsap, but more importantly, Victor Wembanyama.
Let's go.
Yep.
Oh yeah. So it's gonna be something else, no doubt about it. And not this Friday, the Friday after. That's when it all starts. So as far as this match is concerned, solid 3 stars for the effort. And I think Jensen maybe I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up aligning himself with Sean Spears down the road. I wouldn't. So that's just how I feel about it. So solid 3 for me. So Michael Bullock, your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, I'll give it a solid 3 as well. I mean, yeah, it was a good match here. Like you said, Javon Evans gets the win here, and Brooks Jensen, Josh Briggs, no disqualification. I think this is where Briggs gets written off, and who knows? Maybe this is where Briggs is going to align himself with Sean Spears. So we'll see what happens next week. So it's yours, Fletch.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you just said, guys. I do believe that it will be. I think this will be where Briggs beats Jensen on this one because of Sean Spears, and we're going to see a new partnership. I think you're going to see I think Sean Spears is going to take Brooks Jensen under his wing now and let him be that destructive force that he wanted him to be all along. So I think we're going to see some interesting altercation there. Nothing more to say. Next up, basically, it was All Ego Ethan Page basically giving Dante Chen, of all people, an NXT championship fight. Yeah, you heard me right. Dante Chen gets the shot at the gold, and a lot of people was like, really? Dante Chen? Well, unfortunately, All Ego did get the job done with the Ego's edge, winning the match in 4 minutes and 18 seconds, but Oro Mensah showed up and was looking for a fight after. Michael Bullock, Oro's been hunting All Ego for the longest time, and now that he's the NXT champion, you know Oro's thinking. He's not thinking about the blood. I don't know if he's thinking about the championship, but he wants the blood of All Ego Ethan Page bad.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. In my mind as well. He doesn't just want the championship. He wants Ethan Page's blood because of everything he's done to the Metaphor, especially not just with Oro Mensah, but taking out Noam Dar. So these two are going to meet down the line. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So 1.5 stars is my rating for it. So there's really nothing more for me to say. It's yours, Fletch.
It was very too short for my liking. I do agree with that. With only just being 4 minutes and 18 seconds, it was a short match. I'll give it 2 because I thought the quality was all right. I don't think I wish they would have given them more time, but I do love the fact that they are adding another log to the fire between Oro and All Ego, and I believe this might be the main event of the Great American Bash. I think this we might be looking at a world title fight, and All Ego might be putting the belt on the line against Oro Mensa. And I do believe Oro is going to give All Ego everything he's got and then some. But at the end, I think All Ego will keep the belt and successfully defend. But this one's got banger written all over it. And especially with the bad blood, with the heat, with everything going on, I think this is the perfect match and the perfect fight to set up and to have throw down at the Great American Bash. Now, is that going to be week 1, week 2? I don't know. But at the end of the day, this is still going to be a hell of a fight. Anthony Florio, it is all yours.
Solid 2 stars. This was a better showcase for Chen than any match in his series with Lexis King. While he relied heavily on roll-ups to sell near falls, Chen was moving, and the champion was very giving. In only 4 minutes, Ethan Page did what he could to sell Chen as more than his immediate standing. He followed by making Oro Mensa look great as well, setting up his first challengers as men that have never officially held NXT Gold. This shows how valuable it can be to have Ethan Page as NXT champion. He may not deliver in-ring classics like Ilya Dragunov or Carmelo Hayes, but he can tell stories with anyone. Page confronted Ava about Mensa, who arrived to ask for an NXT championship match. Instead, All Ego announced he would defend his title against Dante Chen, selling it as an easier challenge. Chen promised to make the most of his opportunity before heading to the ring. Inside cradle and backslide almost took it later. Challenger nearly stole the win from Page by stacking him up early when he was distracted with taunts. All Ego mockingly shook hands with his unconscious challenger after the win. Page tried to leave but needed to remind an interviewer first that he was not officially pinned by Mensa. And then Trick Williams asked Ilya Dragunov and Pete Dunne for advice on what to do after losing the NXT championship. Both told him he needed to find his own answer. So we'll see what that's about. Solid 2 stars. Let's move on.
All right, with that said, we do indeed move on. The next thing that we did have on the card was Tatum Paxley going one-on-one with Izzy Name. Tatum Paxley winning the match in 4 minutes and 3 seconds. This was all right. I mean, this was another maybe 1.5 to 2. The only thing that was a little bit weird at the end was Wendy Chu was out there, but she didn't really do anything. She basically just was there to watch Izzy, to watch everything that was going on. Once she got the win, she basically handed the doll that got disfigured, and she was able to put the headless doll back together. So I don't know. Are we getting a Wendy Chu Tatum Paxley partnership? I mean, that might be a little interesting, to say the very least.
Oh, God help us if that happens with the way these two are. Oy.
I know, but the wicked sisters. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know who's more wicked. Tatum Paxley.
Well, we don't hear much.
Chu.
Wait, Wendy, you don't get anything from her. She doesn't really say much. She just kind of looks at you and gives you that stare look. At least Tatum gives you a feel. Like, you know what she's thinking. You sense what she's thinking. Wendy, you have no idea what she's thinking. She hasn't even uttered a word yet since coming back from NXT. We don't know. It's interesting. Anthony, strange bedfellows, but I don't know. Sometimes these oddball pairings tend to work really well. Look at, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, and we know that history. And now this. Do you think Triple H and Shawn Michaels might be cooking up something for us here?
I think so. Well, Wendy Chu just doesn't say a word. Of course, Tatum Paxley, she's channeling her inner Nikki Cross. She wants someone to play with her. Yeah, I could insert my own joke, but I'm not going to do that. You know where I'm going.
Okay, down, Florio. I know you were going there. No, don't do that.
I'm not. Yeah, you had your moment with Ash by Elegance. I'm gonna have mine with that one.
Hey, man, by all means.
Now.
Hey, by all means,
MF,
on that one.
You're not the only one who digs the crazy chicks, MF. I do too, especially that one.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I was almost afraid. I thought you were going to try to pull a me on Monday Night Raw with the Liv Morgan Dominic Mysterio stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Because how well. If you hear my commentary, you know what I mean about the Raw.
These two. Now, all kidding aside, Tatum Paxley and Izzy Dame both have something in common. They're the two women who have thus far answered Jordynne Grace's open challenges on TNA Impact for the Knockouts Championship. Well, actually, Tatum Paxley did it on a little bit of a bigger stage. It was the pay-per-view. It was that TNA Plus special. I don't remember if it was under. I think it might have been the June show. I think it might have been Against All Odds. Whereas Izzy Dame answered it on last Thursday's Impact. Video of it on the TNA YouTube channel. Check it out if you haven't. NXT is slowly building a pecking order in the women's division, and it is a surprise to see that Tatum Paxley is a higher priority to Izzy Dame. However, both are talented and are going to thrive with more opportunities. This match deserved a couple more minutes at least, but the action was solid for what it was. Paxley pulled out some impressive moves, but did not always hit it clean. The tease of her working with Chu is intriguing, as that could be an angle that better established Paxley's own character in NXT after months of wishy-washy teases. Paxley interrupted Dame's entrance, sliding between her legs to start the action fast. Kalani Jordan ran into Paxley backstage, who told her that they were both too old to play with dolls. Paxley pulled out a new doll to symbolize Kalani Jordan as her next target. Could Tatum Paxley possibly be in line for an NXT North American Women's Championship match? Very possible. Maybe that could be another match for the Great American Bash. We'll have to find that out. Solid 2 stars again. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, your thoughts? Tatum Paxley and Izzy Dame, the two women who have thus far answered Jordynne Grace's Knockout Championship Open challenges, both came up short, and they battled it out here, and Tatum Paxley getting the big win here.
Yeah, 1.5 stars for me. That'll be interesting. It does look like Tatum Paxley looks like she's gonna be she's got her eye on Kalani Jordan in that Women's North American Championship, and I don't know about you guys, but Tatum Paxley, but you got a couple of screws loose in your head, girl. With some of the things you do.
Crazier than a pet coon?
Yeah.
Goofier than a pet coon?
She literally bit the head off of that doll. I'm like, okay, that's somebody I don't think anybody wants to play with. So that's all I'll say. It's your Sledge.
Yeah, unique situation, no doubt about it. We'll have to wait and see. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very interesting, no doubt about that. Right after that, then we had Lola Vice versus JC Jane. Lola winning the match at 2 minutes and 45 seconds. We'll just move on along on that one. Next up after that, then we had a 6-person tag. This was OTM. They went up against the Good Brothers and Michin, and when it was all said and done, it was the Good Brothers and Michin. Yes, it was. They got it. They win it 5 minutes and 58 seconds, as it was Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows. They got the magic killer on Brock Onema. to end it. So, Anthony Florio, it is all yours. As you could say it, the Good Brothers and Michin getting the win.
And what was that time again?
5:58, roughly under 6 minutes.
2.5. It seems counterproductive for the OC to pick up a win at this moment after both Parker and OTM gained so much momentum from defeating the veterans. Playing too safe with results can turn even the hottest feuds cold. There is no real end in sight for this feud, but OTM needs to get the win back to push toward title opportunities. I think a final 6-person stipulation match at Great American Bash would be in order, though everyone involved needs to work more urgent than they did in this fine, forgettable battle. Michin got the hot tag and went to war against Jada Parker all over again, planning her with a Pele kick. And Price had to save Nima from a pinfall after an elevated neckbreaker from the OC. Solid 2.5 stars. Michael Bullock, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll give this about maybe 2.5 on this one. So, yeah, I mean, there's really nothing more for me to add on to it. So it's your Sledge.
2.25, 2.5, solid matchup. Like you said, it was a little bit of a setback for OTM, but and who knows? Maybe we get the blow off at the Great American Bash. You don't know. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. Main event of the evening, North American title on the line. Obafemi versus Duke Hudson. Obafemi winning the match in 11 minutes and 34 seconds, successfully defending the North American Championship. Michael Bullock, it is all yours.
I'll give this about maybe 3.25 to maybe teetering on 3.5. So, yeah, this was a good main event here. I mean, Duke Hudson, he definitely gave Obafemi all he could handle. And once again, Obafemi proves why he is one of, if not the most dominant North American champions that we have seen. So, yeah, so 3.25 for me. So, Fletch, I mean, I gotta ask the obvious question: who's next?
I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be a little trickier now because now because names are starting to drop, man. Obafemi is starting to clear out the division, and there's not many guys on the NXT roster that I can see that Obafemi can even be threatened by right now. You might have to start looking at TNA, and maybe start thinking maybe one of their guys to try to challenge Obafemi. And I know there's rumors about maybe the TNA World Champion Moose going after Obafemi. Now, obviously, in order for that to happen, Moose has to lose the TNA World title. He would have to lose that. Maybe he loses that to Joe Henry, and then maybe we get the dream fight, Moose versus Oba for the North American title. Could this be the moment where a TNA star snatches an NXT championship away? We haven't had a threat yet. If Moose goes after Obafemi, that might be a real legitimate threat where Moose could actually take the NXT title and bring it to TNA. That would absolutely blow the lid off this crossover war if Moose is the one to dethrone him. Because right now, I think he might be the one that is strong enough, big enough, and who could actually might be able to match Obafemi strength for strength. I think he's the only one that I can think of right now that would be able to possibly be the one to knock him off the perch. Just honestly, truthfully, Anthony, it's yours.
Very possible about that. We'll see. Second best fight of the night. I thought the opening 6-man was a smidgen better, but this was definitely second best fight of the night here. While a short build to this title opportunity made a title change seem impossible, Duke Hudson worked hard to sell that he was a true challenge to Obafemi. This was an excellent main event battle. While it was not quite on the level of the in-ring work from Heatwave, as a TV main event in the CWC, it does not get much more exciting than this battle of big men. NXT needs to give Chase U something sooner than later, given the group's collective output in recent months. Obafemi should not lose the North American Championship, though, as he gets better with each defense. Duke Hudson, especially, is at that level where he might as well go to the main roster if NXT is not going to crown him soon. He has gotten to that level. NXT presented a vignette highlighting Hudson's NXT career trajectory to this title opportunity. Hudson caught Femi with a running knee strike and a series of Chase U punches. The champion rolled outside, but the MVP planted him with a crossbody to the floor. Hudson nearly got the win with a crucifix pin. Femi answered with an elevated choke slam, but Hudson kicked out. Femi got desperate and went to the top rope. Hudson answered with a sunset flip powerbomb for another near fall. 3 1/4, teetering on 3.5, second best fight of the night. And I mentioned this earlier, but this was another one of my observations. The show oddly ended, with Brooks Jensen challenging Josh Briggs to a no disqualification match for next week, teasing a big reveal with several arguments going on in the background that never came. So 3 1/4 to 3.5, like I said. So it's overall review time, and I believe MF starts it.
A much better NXT episode. I think we were very not so happy about the way that it went down the last time out, but this time around, I thought they did a lot better. It was a lot more clearer, a lot more sharper, a lot more, everything that it needed it to be. I actually thought they did a really good job here. And at the end of the day, I think they did it was easily, for me, and I'll even call it probably one of the better NXT that we had. So for me, I give this about a solid, I'd say 7.5 out of 10. So Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, right around that 7 to 7.5 threshold. Absolutely. NXT rebounding from a down week with a much tighter episode that started to build momentum forward again. It helped to start with the hot angle of NXT's partnership with TNA, but the night largely benefited from clearer angles and in-ring work from the NXT talent. The Rascals looked phenomenal together. Duke Hudson pulled out his absolute best for the main event. Javon Evans and Ethan Page used their main event stock to elevate the talent around them in solid matches. The card for Great American Bash is coming together nicely, highlighted by Roxanne Perez defending the NXT Women's Championship against the game Thea Hale. While the show waned a bit down the stretch with shorter matches with questionable results, the ultimate takeaway was that NXT has a wealth of talent and stories to rely upon for a wild summer. So, no doubt about this. 7.5 for me. Mr. NXT, Michael Bullock, take it home, and then we'll get into our review of the 250th episode of AEW Dynamite tonight.
Yeah, I'll give this about 7 to 7.5. I mean, it was definitely better than last week's NXT, no doubt about it. So, so there's really nothing more to say. So let's get into the 250th episode of AEW Dynamite, which included what turned out to be a really long first match, as Fletcher sets us up.
Yes, indeed, as it was for the International Championship. It was Will Ospreay versus MJF, and this one had a 60-minute time limit, and we literally went the distance. But at the end, it definitely was worth the time. The winner of the bout in 59 minutes, 58 seconds, and new AEW International Champion Maxwell Jacob Freeman, MJF. But, oh man, okay. First off, you can say 5 stars. I'll give it the 5. But I was so mad about the ending. It didn't need that. But I understand it. MJF full heel, hitting him with the Dynamite Diamond Ring to get the 1, 2, 3 after a ref bump. It takes a little bit away from the luster, but still, it's still the fight of the year. It's still a fight of the year candidate. This was without a doubt an amazing match, more than anything else. And like we said, there was a 1 hour time limit. Championship fights are normally 1 hour time limits. And it went literally up to the final seconds. That's great storytelling, an incredible way to start the show for Dynamite 250. But the ending was so, like, it took away from the moment. But then again, if you're MJF, this is typical MJF. You know, this is him being that consummate heel, finding a way to win the title. So it serves its purpose. It fits the narrative. But it leaves a bitter taste in the mouth at the end. But I do understand why they did this. Because we're getting a second fight at Wembley. They're doing this for All In. And that's when Will Ospreay gets the belt back. They're setting it up that Will gets the belt back and win it in his home country to give us a big moment at Wembley in London. I think that's why they're doing it. But at the end of the day, it is 5 stars. I will give it the 5 stars. I can't go against it. Yes, the ending, it tempts me to take away the 5. But after everything they did, I can't even do it. As much as I hate the ending, I still got to give it the full 5-star status. Anthony, it is yours.
5-star classic, no doubt about it. Fight of the night. We definitely have a new entry when it comes to our match of the year candidates. Right now, this might be the favorite right now. Although there are some who will probably still lean towards Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson from the Dynasty pay-per-view in April. But anyways, they had a fast-paced, highly choreographed sequence that showed off their quickness, but ended in a stalemate. Once they engaged again, they started picking up the intensity. Both men use very different styles, but they are evenly matched in some ways. So they were able to put on an entertaining performance that both made them look good and left room for future rematches to outdo this one. They ended up getting the entire first hour and turned in a fantastic performance that could have ended with either man winning and fans would have been happy. Even if this went a little longer than expected, they filled almost every minute with solid action. You noticed MJF was developing a massive bruise on his leg as they worked toward the finish. After several close calls and near falls, MJF ended up hitting Ospreay. After hitting him with a Dynamite Diamond Ring, the fans stood in shock as he was announced as the new international champion. Both men were helped by medics and officials after the match as a stunned crowd looked on. MJF was still getting some cheers despite turning heel again. The initial exchange of counters and reversals was great, but looked a little too rehearsed. It's not a complaint as much as an observation. MJF's heel work is great, but one thing he does too often is slow down after someone begins showing signs of injury. He could use to be a little more intense in those moments instead of smirking at the camera. Will Ospreay was selling his knee injury like a pro. Even the way he was only walking on his toe to make it seem like he was keeping weight off made it look convincing. The garbage can spot was equal parts dumb and hilarious. MJF used crossroads and a Styles clash. The shot of Ospreay hitting a hidden blade as MJF was bragging about his intelligence was timed perfectly. The way MJF landed on his feet after a reverse Hurricane Rana almost an hour into the match was impressive. So was Ospreay landing on his feet a moment later. Yes, the ending was terrible. Disappointing ending, I will give you that. But this match was way too good, like MF said. 5-star classic, fight of the night, and definitely a very worthy new 2024 match of the year candidate for sure. So, not much more to say. Michael Bullock, wow. You want to talk about starting the 250th episode of Dynamite with a bang. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, man, I mean, there's part of me that really wants to say I can't give it the 5 because of the ending. But after everything I saw in this match, I'm with these guys. I have to give it 5, even with the ending, which I absolutely hate. I mean, man, it took a little bit away from it, but because of the way everything went in this match that went for so long, I have to give it 5 stars as well. And yeah, don't worry, folks. Will Ospreay's getting the belt back, and I think it's going to happen at All In. So yeah, there's really nothing more to say. So let's move on, Fletch.
All right, so next stuff that we did have, or the next in ring stuff, because we had a lot of promos along the way. But the next thing we did have was Mercedes Moné versus Nyla Rose for the TBS title. Mercedes Moné winning the match in 9 minutes and 15 seconds. Anthony Florio, it is all yours.
Yeah, before it was really only one promo thing, really. It was a learning tree segment that was interrupted by Minoru Suzuki, and Minoru Suzuki challenged, and we're going to have it next week. Minoru Suzuki challenging Chris Jericho for the FTW Championship with Big Bill and Brian Keith both barred from ringside. So,
and I think there was also a backstage segment too where we found out 2 more entrants into Blood and Guts.
Yeah, the Acclaimed. So we now have Swerve Strickland, Mark Briscoe, and the Acclaimed squaring off against the Elite and Hangman Adam Page in the Blood and Guts match next week. Oh, by the way, so yeah, we're gonna have some things to say about that next week on this program for sure. But getting back to this, 3 stars. Even though they were mismatched physically, this was a relatively even back and forth exchange. The CEO wanted to get under Britt Baker's skin, so she pulled out a glove, just like DMD used to before applying her lockjaw. Nyla Rose bit Mercedes Moné, but it only delayed her win by a few seconds. This was decent, but had a couple of moments when it didn't click. Britt Baker showed up in the crowd in a mask and went after Baker, but was thwarted by the security. And like we said earlier, the Acclaimed were shown asking Mark Briscoe and Swerve if they could join Team AEW, which they did. And that's really all. That's really the only real observation that came out of that. So, solid 3 stars for this. So, Michael Bullock, no surprise with this outcome. We knew Mercedes Moné was going to win this match, and Britt Baker showed up, and oh yeah, the intensity riles it up, and oh man, All In can't get here fast enough. What a match that's going to be.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a great match at All In when it gets made official when Mercedes Moné and Dr. Britt Baker face off. So yeah, like you said, she continues to get under the skin of Britt Baker with mocking her with the submission move that she does, and yeah, so there's really nothing more for me to say on it. So 3 stars, it's yours, Fletch.
3 stars, no doubt about it. Really nothing more to add. We go to the main event of the evening. AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland goes one-on-one with the AEW Continental Champion Kazuchika Okada. And when it was all said and done, it was Swerve Strickland winning the match via disqualification in roughly 12 minutes. Michael Bullock, it is all yours.
Well, before I talk about that, I want to address something quickly, Fletch, and that is the Mariah May segment. And
okay,
yeah, she revealed a lot, and well, there was something that happened before that she spoke, and Tony Schiavone, well, he actually said, "Come on, bitch, speak up," and I'm like, whoa. And even Taz he was not happy about that. And I don't know about you, Fletch, but I think Tony Schiavone went a little too far with that. I mean, I get he's upset with what Mariah May did, but to go as far as what he said, look, I got all the respect for Tony Schiavone. But there's some times he can push things a little too far. So I'm sorry to do this to you, Tony, but you were out of bounds on this one. So there was no need for you to use that kind of language. So yeah, and Mariah May revealed everything with that she was just waiting for the perfect time to finally do what she did to Timeless Tony Storm. And yeah, and as you saw, she was mocking Timeless Tony Storm wearing the same stuff that she normally wears, and you could tell that crowd was hating on her. She got that major heat. So yeah, it does make this AEW Women's World Title match very interesting. And so now getting back to this, I'm going to give this about maybe 3.25 on this one, because it did end in a DQ finish. It was getting good until you had all the craziness out here. First, you had the Young Bucks come out, and then you had the Acclaim, and then you had Jack Perry coming out, and then you had Mark Briscoe. I mean, they were in a full-fledged brawl, and then, of course, Hangman Adam Page comes out, and let's just say that was the renewal of a rivalry with Swerve Strickland and Adam Hangman Page. Everybody was brawling until gentlemen, we have a fifth member involved in Blood and Guts next week, and his name is Darby Allin. And you noticed something, Fletch, how he made his entrance. It was something that his legendary partner Sting did, and I heard something, guys, that AEW and Martha Hart, they had to come to some kind of agreement with Martha Hart to get Darby Allin to do that. And because, well, you all know the story by now, there's no need for us to rehash it. So
yeah.
So
but I
go ahead, Fletch.
No, I would say I get and I understand why they needed it to get Martha Hart's consent on that because of the past, but you could also say that's very similar to what Sting used to do. And Sting did it a number of times in WCW, rappelling from the roof of the arena.
Well, I think the only reason why, because they had to do it because AEW and Martha Hart have a partnership, especially after what we just saw with the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. So I think that's probably the reason. So
I get it, but I don't think that, honestly, if you're doing it for professional wrestling purposes, I get it, and I get why something like that definitely would be uncomfortable because it would drudge up bad memories. There's a lot of things, and I get it, and I think AEW, if they did talk to Martha about it, then I think she would understand. I think she understands, but I think she also would basically tell or basically warn AEW, make sure that he's properly secured, which if you notice, he was secured when he got rappelled down. So there was no way that we were going to have an incident like that. But I get it. But the thing is that if they got the blessing for her to do it, I get it. But I don't think they really needed it because, again, Sting used to do it so many times back in WCW. If he's trying to honor it for Sting, that's perfect. And I don't know if there was any, like you said, obviously the Martha Hart thing is one thing, but I don't know. I kind of feel like, yes, I get it, but what if he was trying to honor Sting? Then what? Then there should have been no problems, no issues
I
with
think
him.
they're just trying to respect Martha Hart, especially with what happened in the past. Just saying. So, yeah, Blood and Guts is now officially set. We have our combatants. All I can say is, next week, fellas, get ready for some chaos and get ready for some blood. Because I'm telling you, boys, we're going to see a lot of it at Blood and Guts next week. So, nothing more to say, Fletch. All I can say is, I'm ready for some blood next week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna. I will say this: it's gonna be a great match. Blood and Guts will be fine, and everything else. As far as the main event goes, it was a fine match. I'm I'm really trying to preface my words very carefully because right now I don't know that last part kind of just bothered me. Um, but it, like I said, there's certain things about it. I'm not gonna get into it, but something about that just kind of irked me just now. So I'll be on my p's and q's here. I'm gonna be very respectful, but yeah. So there's really nothing more for me to say on that one. So it was a 3.5 star match. Anthony, go please.
3.25 stars. They had a competitive match that got more physical as time went on, and since this show had an overrun, they were able to get enough time so nothing felt rushed. Sadly, we didn't get a clean finish. The Young Bucks attacked Swerve to kick off a brawl that brought out everyone who will compete in Blood and Guts next week. Hangman Adam Page was the final man on Team Elite to arrive, but he didn't get his hands on Swerve yet due to Okada dragging the AEW champion out of the ring. Darby Allin lowered down from the rafters to reveal himself as the final member of Team AEW. Jack Perry was shown beating up Brandon Cutler backstage to prove to Darby Allin that it didn't matter when he did it last week. Okada looks like he is having a lot of fun in AEW, or at least he seems to be smiling more. The Swerve stomp counter to a Rainmaker almost went south. It was a 3.5, but I'm bumping it down to 3.25 for the finish. So not much more to say. Let's get into the overall review here.
Yeah, overall review is that it was solid. It was solid for what they're gonna do, and like I said, I thought it was a great show. It was about an 8. I'd say about 8.5, close to 9. Yes, the second half of the show was a little bit dragged down. The first half was absolutely amazing, and and that's it. So there's really nothing more to say. So Anthony, it's yours.
8.5 to 9. AEW's 250th episode of Dynamite may not have had many matches, but the show had a little bit for everyone to enjoy. Swerve versus Okada ending in a DQ makes sense given the upcoming Blood and Guts match, but it still ended up being a non-finish to a main event, which is never ideal. The TBS title match was decent, but the one thing everyone will be talking about from this show tonight was MJF versus Will Ospreay. Not only did they keep the crowd invested for almost an hour, but it ended with a title change none of us saw coming. Unpredictability is a rare commodity in professional wrestling, so even the fans who were stunned seemed intrigued. If there is any complaint that could be levied here, it's that AEW didn't feature enough talents who have been around for all 250 episodes in more significant ways. But other than that, great show tonight. 8.5 to 9 out of 10 for me. Nothing left to say except take us home, Bullock.
Yeah, 8.5 to 9 for me as well. I mean, yeah, the second hour was a little drag, but like you said, at the end of the day, everybody's going to be talking about MJF and Will Ospreay. So, yeah, nothing more to say. Let's call it a night.
Yes, indeed, we will indeed, and we are done. So I believe either Thursday night or Friday we're going to be doing TXN Sports World, and then Saturday we actually are doing, and we're bringing it back, guys. You guys wanted it, Cerebral Smack Talk is back. We're gonna be covering SmackDown. We're covering AEW Collision this time around. So we're back to the original format, and we'll be doing that at 10:30. Both shows are going to be at 10:30. So until then, for Anthony Floyer, for Michael Bullock, I'm Michael Fletcher. Have a good night, everybody, and we will see you all on. Okay, so TXN Sports World's on Friday. So we'll see you all on Friday, 10:30 for TXN Sports World. Until then, I'm Michael Fletcher saying so long, everybody, and have a good night.